So this was beautiful to behold. Apparently, Elon Musk has committed heresy of the greatest level. He has said things which should not be uttered on American soil. Apparently, he says that diversity initiatives are unsafe. And of course, the civil rights groups that have been asleep every single time someone got banned from social media, they have been asleep during the pandemic. I assume that they were praying to diversity initiatives, right? To the HR lady to channel more divinity into her. And all of a sudden, it's like, what? Musk said what? What? Like, and they're really upset and livid about this. And Elon Musk replied with, like, any civil rights organization that puts the safety of people second to anything is not worthy of the name of a civil rights organization. And it's true, right? Like here's the thing. The people who do fly the airplanes are incredibly diverse. I mean, maximum diversity is to be had there. So their safety should be of primordial concern. When you're hiring people based on literally anything else besides skill and competence, like whether you hire them based on the cock and pussy, whether you hire them based on the pedigree, their family lineage, their aristocratic nobility, I don't fucking care, right? Like, if you're hiring based on literally anything besides on can this person fly the plane and how good can they do it, then it is a question of safety, right? And in the era of safetyism, it is interesting to see where people are being fired from. Now, I'm not talking shit, because I know how this works, right? Like, if you're concerned before the tragedy happens, then it's just like you're talking bad shit and you don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking after the tragedy happens, then you're profiteering off a tragedy and you're a horrible person. So you're not allowed to talk about it, right? Maybe like if you talk during the tragedy and you're involved in the tragedy, like if you're on a plane and you're talking about it while it's going down, maybe then it's acceptable. I don't know. But clearly, it's not acceptable to talk about before or after. So I'm just saying that maybe if you talk during. But this has happened. This has happened last year, right? Like, for those of you who don't follow the news, you may not be aware that there was a submarine that went all the way down to the Titanic. Now for those of you who actually followed the story, what ended up happening is that the owner of that project was actually informed by many people that his submarine design is unsafe. Now, due to the nature of the industry, because like we're talking about submarines, most people that know about submarines happen to be the evil cisgender heteronormative white dudes who served in the military and worked on military subs. Because other than that, like very few people actually have a personal sub, right? So he's basically now going, it's like, okay, well, if they're telling me that it's not safe, that doesn't look good in the papers. So we need to hire fresh new faces. We need to get a diverse set of ideas. We need to get some new people on board, right? So literally, he advertised for diversity initiatives. And this wasn't like he was a believer in social justice or nonsense. No, like he literally just wanted an opinion that agrees with him. And probably to pay people less, right? So he hired people from universities. Engineers that never stepped foot in a sub again and has less pubic hair on people with soy faces and no facial hair. And those were like, oh my god, yes, absolutely. Like the submarine, oh, it's perfect. Like you're in design 100%, right? So now you have fresh new ideas, right? Like, oh, we have a wide range of ideas, diverse ideas. Sub went down, imploded. So like, we know what happens when you allow people to hire on anything based on merit. Now, when I look at this and I see FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities, am I not allowed to be a little bit of hashtag concerned? Like not a lot, but a little bit. You know, just a little bit. Apparently, people with severe disabilities are the most underrepresented segment of the federal workforce. It's like, look, getting a job isn't like getting a fucking prize. It isn't like getting recognition. When you get a job, it's not like getting a place in the Senate so that you represent people. Getting a job means that you're supposed to perform a required task. And if that task can put people's lives in danger, then you should be able to perform it at peak conditioning. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's I don't even know how to say. So, as you can see, there was a string of United States airline near misses. Now, I can't verify this, right? Like, this is what my subscribers told me. And due to the fact that the channel is pretty big, I do have, like, people from various professions and crafts that message me and tell me, like, hey, V, I'm a pilot, or I'm an engineer, or I work at an airport, and this is what's happening. And in the case of pilots, from what I understand, and I have this on various sources, but again, like, take it with a grain of salt. During the pandemic, they were forced to vaccinate, and many of them, especially the older ones that didn't want to, they quit. Now, when they quit, the new people coming up are obviously going to have less experience than the ones that quit. But not only that, many of them were hired on diversity initiatives. And apparently there was financial incentive to hire people on diversity initiatives. So like if you meet certain quotas, your wage would increase dramatically. So obviously, when you financially motivate people to hire based on the cock and pussy, you're going to get the cock and pussy. Like, this is the ideology that they're hovering around, right? So you may even think it's like, okay, well, this person isn't very capable, but goddammit, if I hire him, I get a lot of money in return. Like, you're literally bribing people to hire like that, right? Like, you shouldn't put a person in the position of, like, do I hire the competent guy, or do I hire this person, which is going to increase my wage by more than 50% this year? Why would you even tempt people like that, right? So anyway, there are certain videos on the internet that are harrowing. There is a video of a pilot which is trying to make a landing attempt, and the chick in the tower control is telling him that he's doing it incorrectly. The pilot responds with the fact that he's been doing it for 15 years and he knows what's up. And the chick responds, no, you're wrong, I googled it. I'm glad that I'm not in that conversation, to be honest. I'm glad I'm not in that plane. I'm glad I'm not in that airport. I'm glad I'm nowhere near that shit. But I would like to point out that this isn't the first time that it's happening. Like, also recently, and this is the way that the story can be described, because there's like several news articles that talk about it. An airplane was flying, and they got like a little blip about the cabin pressure. And you know what you do when you're in an airplane and you get like the blip? Like a little red light that's telling you, hey, cabin pressure, cabin pressure. You turn it off, of course. You know, I wonder if they put like a little sticker over it so that it's kosher. I don't know. But anyway, apparently they got grounded. They said, well, it's fine, actually, fly it again. They fly it again. The little light comes up. They go out to another airport and they ban the plane from flying over the ocean. So at least that, you know. But the third time they go up, oh, look, the cabin is depressurizing. Like, come the fuck on. You know, at least get an engineer to disable the light at that point. And there was another one that had problem with the door. Apparently the door wasn't bolted correctly. Because, like, the engineers are having diversity initiatives as well, right? So, like, all of these things together, it doesn't take ChatGPT to predict that there may be problems. And when there are problems, I am willing to bet that they will say, oh, you can't talk about it because you're profiteering off a tragedy. And they will blame it on literally anything else. Like, for example, the string of near airline misses, they're blaming it on COVID. Because, like, the pilots were very solicited during the pandemic. They were so solicited like never before. Interesting. Yeah, sure. Now we get to see stuff like this. I mean, no, seriously, imagine this, right? Your wife, she never flew before. Ever. Right? And she's a little bit angsty about flying, and you show her this article. It's like, well, actually, airplane crashes now are more safer. And you get to see the thumbnail of an airplane crash. And I just have to wonder, where exactly am I supposed to sit so that I'm fine? Like, if I sit over here, is it good? Or if I sit... And the interesting thing specifically is that Delta Airlines was allegedly caught having this in their instruction manuals. Now, they haven't denied this. I haven't seen any community notes debunking this. So apparently this may be true. And people like were posting, and I feel like if you go on Twitter or Delta Airlines, they're still posting this now. And they're asking like, can you guys at least say that you value our safety more than you value your religious ideology? And apparently there's no response. So like they consider, like, they got Nazis from the past. You know, Nazis were really good at making rockets. So they had the time machine to bring the Nazis in the past in order to lecture them about ethnicity and race, right? So that they can now figure out, like, we need to capitalize the word black and brown in Delta communications. Unlike black and brown, white should be lowered case. What does this have to do with flying? What does this have to do with anything, right? How am I not concerned when I see that resources are diverted from keeping people safe and flying airplanes into this shit? How much did you pay for the person to say this, right? Because this is the problem. Like your money, your finances were diverted from your mission statement of keeping planes in the air, and you gave it to a plump HR lady, didn't you? You found one from the university, admit it. And you got her to like compose from the wisdom of her brain, like, this is what we need to do: demoralize our pilots. Instead of like focusing, right, like you shouldn't even have the concept of black and brown and white. You should have like the concept of the people working at Delta, right? You should have the concept of our pilots, our engineers. Our pilots and engineers are examples of excellence around the world. This is the mentality that you should have. I don't give a fuck about, you know, the cock and pussy in the sky of like what gender, what ethnicity. I don't care. No one cares. And they probably know that no one cares, because like they would allow you to choose your pilot if people cared, right? Like if people cared, they would say, this airplane is flying with a brown pilot. And all the people would immediately rush to get tickets from that plane, wouldn't they? Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.